Recruitment's always been a topical issue that we've discussed on the show, and especially after COVID, employment markets have changed. The amount of workers that seemingly are wanting to be able to work from home, given their bosses don't want to, is trying to changing the way I think people work and get employed, and also companies try and retain staff.
Yes, I mean, it's a different ballgame altogether. One thing that one has learned is use of technology. The other one is if you ensure that the person can be trusted to work from home and do good stuff from home, then you're saving on all the coffee bills that you're paying at work.
It's very true. Well, Executive Search is a new kind of recruitment consultancy which has got the aim to try and change the way many companies in the UAE think about recruitment. It's been launched by the former real estate recruitment expert, Nathan Kearney. Nathan is in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. What a wonderful introduction.
What was the inspiration to go out on your own and start your own company?
Yeah, so I noticed in the market that far too many people come and go. Dubai is a transient city as it is. I want to change the way that people think about retention whilst recruiting. So, yeah, it was time to try and launch something that hadn't been done in the region.
Normally people say that the cost to recruit is always higher as compared to the cost to retain. How true is that?
It's sort of a hard statistic to give you an answer with, but it's more about the culture effect. If you've got people coming and going, how do you keep the work environment positive and happy if you don't know, the name of someone brand new, you've hired 10 new staff this month? The main thing I would say when it comes to recruitment is make sure that you are building a value proposition in order to maintain the staff.
Yeah, because culture is the most important thing. Like you said, if there's a continual turnover, there's a continuation of going without employees, time lost in retraining and getting people up to speed. But when it comes down to one thing I want to discuss with you, it's a term that's been around for maybe the last couple of years: quiet quitting.
Wonderful word.
That is
term.
And it's been around obviously since business has begun, but just recently it's been able to be so finite because we've all experienced it where we're in a company and we've mentally checked out. We're just cashing the checks each month. We're on the eye for something else, and we thought we'll just hold this job and just tick over until we can find something better. What impact does that have on a business when employees are quiet quitting?
So let's just take things back to the very start of the onboarding process. So I talk about employee value proposition, which is what your company is offering. It's broken down into 4 categories: lifestyle, career, money, and culture. Now, if someone joins the business and one or all of these elements haven't been ticked off and aligned with the employee, they will further down the line leave. It doesn't matter how good the company is. There's always a reason to leave. So in terms of the impact on the business, what I'd say is if someone's leaving based on one of them 4 categories, someone else will leave on the back of that. So if you can pull things back before you even hire someone by aligning your employee value proposition with the personalities that you want to bring into the business, then you're going to retain your staff and no one's going to leave, even though people will always leave.
Right.
No one will die at a company. But for us, it's about making sure you get as long as you can out of someone, and when they leave, they're an advocate of the business. When someone leaves a business, they should be the flagship and the person telling other people to go and join. Well, that's in my eyes how I'm building my business, Executive Search.
Now, in your line of business, do you get briefs that, hey, this is what we need, these are the kind of people that we're looking for? But then do you go back and have conversations with the management saying that, listen, what has been the reason why people have quit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason I launched Executive Search is because I noticed a lot of the competition were overseas. They hadn't been into the office. They hadn't got to understand the types of personalities in the business, introverts, extroverts, what the leadership styles were like. And for me, in terms of the clients that I work with, I can describe the office. I can tell you the types of biscuits they have, like the layout of the office, how many desks are in certain corners, how people manage in the good and the bad. So for me, realistically, if you take the time to understand a business, then the amount of people who leave and the way that people are managed is so much easier. That's the main thing. So one thing I talk about as well is with the clients that I work with, it's face-to-face time. How often are we going face-to-face? Are you in that business every single week? I see my clients every single week. We talk about the wins of the week, what's going on, because then that conversation is the perfect explanation of the business when you're talking to a candidate. Or when you're talking to the candidate, you're telling them the job inside out, as opposed to a job description that you might have just been sent, and it's, maybe even written on ChatGPT.
When it comes down to the employment trends, what are you seeing that employees are wanting or demanding out of a new job or a new company compared to a couple of years ago?
So firstly, the psychology and conversation around the needs and wants of employees is fast forwarded, and I'd say it's magnified post-COVID. So people are now openly talking about how to be happy at work. Mm-hmm. So what I've personally noticed is, yes, people still want that remote working element. However, I think during COVID, people actually started to miss the office as much as they did like to be.
They missed the free biscuits.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I would say now is you've seen essentially a hybrid model. So you talk about full-time, you talk about freelance, you talk about remote. But now what you hear of is the hybrid model, where you've got a wonderful office to come into when you want to. But also, if you want that flexibility to go and pick the kids up at 3 p.m, whilst actually, being in the house at midday, that's what the businesses need to be doing. And that's what I've seen a rise of recently.
But isn't that harder for new employees? Because there's a CEO in Australia that I follow, and he always talks about, I don't let any new employees work from home because I don't know them yet. I haven't trusted them. I feel like that is a perk that I'm going to give to someone if I know who they are and I trust them to do their work. But if you're new, I can't give you that yet.
Yeah, what I would say is businesses have now had to understand how to onboard, engage, which is the main point, keep them engaged, but also monitor the staff. So what you notice is people are offering remote working, and then the performance and the output was just dwindling massively. So what you've seen is a rise in tech, a rise in workflow management. So you can now essentially automate everything, understand what's being done, how it's being done, and how well people are doing based on technology. But the main thing that we have to go back to is the rise in remote working and hybrid models, gearing the tech element into the business so that now people don't actually have too much human interaction. So there's an absolute matrix of different things happening in the employment world at the moment, and it's really about businesses understanding their people before they start to change the structures and the policies and the procedures and processes.
Businesses understanding people, is it more challenging as compared to business understanding AI and then implementing AI to reduce the workload on people? When you go out to look for people, are people still threatened with the thought that, hey, AI might just replace me?
I would say it's sector specific. Mm-hmm. You've seen the rise of AI in tech massively, marketing, a massive drive in the AI input. But what I'd say is, with every position, you normally get hired on your personality, or in 2023 you do. Mm-hmm. I think gone are the days where people purely look at your grades, your GCSEs from 10 years ago. You should be able to walk into a room and say how trainable you are. Right. So again, going back to the point, it's hard to give a statistic of AI versus personality, but business owners, I would say, which I've noticed in the region, are becoming more aware of personalities versus the tech input.
Which you particularly were from real estate recruitment in the region now? Which industries do you think are the best at being able to recruit and retain talent?
What a wonderful question. I would.
That's our job.
So I would say the finance. I would say, if I'm going to give you one sector,
is that because it's competitive?
Every industry in Dubai is so incredibly competitive. It's hard to get a job, mainly because it's such a transient city. And if you look at the rising population and demand, people need jobs. So people need new employees based on the demand. What I would say is, companies really need to understand how to essentially align the EVP with the people that are coming into the business. So look at the lifestyle, look at the work-life balance, look at the career progression, and look at the compensation.
All right. Well, that's an interesting one. If you do want to get in contact, Nathan's company is Executive Search. Neil touched on the impact of AI. At the moment, we know that AI is affecting business. Are people using AI for their recruitment search?
Yes, massively. And to give you a good example, a lot of companies now are flipping on to video interviews before they actually get face-to-face. So you will apply for a job. A company will only interview you if you have put or said certain keywords on the video interview, which is amazing when you think about it, that if you have a video interview, or if you submit a video to a company, the AI in the back end will analyze the keywords, pick it off and give you a percentage of essentially how suitable you are to a company.
So this is the next level, because previously it was always when you put through your CV, obviously it would look for keywords. Yeah. And I had someone told me once, take the job ad and then post it in white on your CV, and then AI will pick up that all the keywords are associated, but you won't be able to read it when you print it out.
Yeah.
Now that's obviously the video interview is being able to utilise, are they saying the key phrases we're looking for?
Exactly that, yeah. So now you can essentially interview, or you can have someone pitching themselves of why they're good for the business, why they want to come and join a business, whilst also picking out how many times they've maybe said the word performance, or if they're in finance, for example, they can be talking about the word audits and reconciliations. So you can actually see, again, we have to go back to what I said just previously. You really have to strip away things and understand that if the tech is actually being useful or not. So, yeah.
While we're talking about, times have come where we moved ahead from the grades or your experiences or what you scored back in the days to what you can or how adaptable or trainable you are. How much of a recruitment happens on the basis of, listen, I know this guy, let him in?
Again, what a wonderful question. I would say it's hard for me as a recruiter because I'm normally brought into a process because they don't have that friend.
Right.
So in terms of how many times that's happened, I honestly don't know. Sorry.
Well, look, these changes are fast-paced, and that is why most people are turning towards recruiters. Nathan, congratulations on going out on your own and starting up both a recruitment and a retaining expert business. The company is Executive Search, labelled as a new kind of recruitment consultancy, and Nathan Kearney, the Managing Director. Thank you very much for joining us in studio. If you've got any challenges when it comes down to recruitment or any questions or issues that you've experienced, you can always let us know. 05868610